What's up, guys, and welcome to Cameron Champ's Swing Analysis. Let's go do this thing. Alright, guys, so welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new to Mike's OG Academy, we do everything that you guys need to know about golf instruction. If you guys are looking for golf tips, golf instructional vlogs, interviews, anything that you guys need to know about golf instruction, we do it here. So if you guys haven't already, hit that little red subscribe button down there on the bottom. Cool. Alright, so welcome to Cameron Champ's Swing Analysis. Now, obviously, he's a very popular player right now for his prodigious length. Also, as well, he's obviously a very well-rounded player as well. So there's a lot of places where we can go with this analysis, but where I want to kind of start is obviously with his driver, because that's kind of what he's known for. So we're going to talk about impact dynamics first and kind of show you why he's hitting the ball so far. Then we're also going to talk about how the body kind of works, because I know that's an interesting topic. He's not as much of a linear pusher as, say, as a Rory McIlroy, right? Which will lead us into the third part, which is where I'm going to kind of dissect him and Rory McIlroy's swing and kind of how they differ. So let's hop into it real quick. So we're going to have Cameron Champ down by impact. We're going to start dissecting kind of what he's doing here. So we're going to stop it right around, let's call it about here is pretty much impact. So the first thing I want you guys to know is his wrist conditions, okay? So let's kind of zoom in here. I know the camera shot is a little bit blurry, but what we can see is that his lead wrist is still a little bit in flexion, right? So it's still got a little bit of that revving the motorcycle look. Also, let's take a look at his trail side wrist. He actually has a decent amount of extension in that trail side wrist as well. So what does that really mean? Well, that means that he's taking off loft subtly with the driver. Now, let's also look at what he's doing in terms of attacking, okay? So let's bring him up towards the top of his swing. Now let's watch what his sternum does. Watch how his head starts moving back and back as he hits the golf ball. So what he's doing is he's taking off loft and he's hitting the golf ball on the up, which is a great way to get his ball speed up, right? Now the reason why he can do this move so effectively is he swings the club at 130 miles per hour. So whenever you swing the club head or driver at 130 to 129 miles per hour, to be able to optimize your numbers, you're probably going to have to be taking off a little bit of loft or getting kind of that flexion look while you're hitting up. So that is why he's such a prodigious driver, is just because his impact dynamics are really, really good. Cool. Now, let's talk a little bit about what he's doing with his body to kind of accomplish that. Let's just first start with the backswing, because I think that's a pretty simple place to go. So I want you guys to look at his trail side hip on the way back. So we're going to see that he's getting a good amount of hip depth, right? Notice how his hips are churning backwards, right? Another thing that I think you guys will really like is if we draw a line on his hip bone right here, we're going to see something. As he gets up to the top of his swing, just like a lot of popular golf instructors are saying right now, what I like to see as well, he has a little bit of a golf ball, right? He has a little space from that line, right? So he's almost has started or is pushing or getting pressure into the lead side linear before he's even completed his backswing, which is a great, powerful move, right? Cool. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to draw another line on his lead pelvic bone like this, and we're going to watch what he does in transition. So as he starts coming down, we're going to see that he subtly breaks through that line, and then right about here we're going to start seeing him churning and staying on this line, okay? So watch how he kind of stays, he's churning, and extending at this point too as well, which some of you guys think that he might be extending a little bit too early, but with driver you actually see players extend a little bit more early than the irons, just because obviously you want to hit the ball on the up, okay? So even though he's extending about before P6, so right about here I'd say he's starting to extend. That's really what you see a lot of the long driver guys do, is they extend a little bit earlier just because they're trying to shift the attack angle up. So I'm totally fine with that as long as what? He's getting around while he's extending, which Cameron very much is. Cool. And then as we get into impact, which is right about here, we can see something very interesting. If we look at the lead bone, hip bone, and we draw it straight down, notice how it's inside the instep, which means that he has completely rotated, right? He has not been stalled out at this point, right? So he's getting the left pelvic bone, or let's actually think about the sacrum. He's pushed the sacrum subtly forward, and then it's kind of gone around and then pushed a little bit forward again, but has not pushed excessively. So he's been able to get around while he's extending, hitting on the up, and has great wrist conditions, and that's why he's hitting the golf ball very, very far, right? Now, the next thing I want to take note of with the body, which I think is very interesting and a lot of guys are doing, we're going to look at his lead foot. I think this is a very important move for what Cameron's trying to do. So as we take him up to the top of his swing, from here we almost see the heel lift up ever so subtly, kind of like an old school player's look, right? Which I kind of like. Then as the way down, notice how that foot is staying fairly closed, right? So he hasn't flared it out like a lot of players do, and me personally, I do that as well. But he's actually kept this foot line closed, right? So this would be flared out, correct? His is actually not even really closed, but pretty neutral at this position. Now I want you to kind of take a look at what it's going to do as he gets closer to impact. So we're starting to see it almost raise up subtly as he's extending. Raise up, then right about here, this last click, if we zoom in, we can see that the heel is starting to work inwards as he goes into shearing is what we call it, right? Look at this move right here with the lead foot. That is shearing. Notice how it's kind of churned on the balls of the feet. And that's called basically shearing, which is a very, very powerful move. You're going to see a lot of long drive guys, and just anyone who bombs the ball, you're going to see him have that move through impact. Basically what that's allowing him to do is to get that left pelvic bone back and around as he extends. That's basically what it's allowing to do, and that's how he can hit up on it and take off loft. Cool guys, so that's pretty much all I wanted to go over with the body. There's so much more we could talk about, and we're probably going to do more analysis here in the future about his golf swing because he does so many good things. But I just want to leave it off on that and jump straight into the last part of the video, which is basically we're going to analyze how him and Rory McIlroy differ, right? So Rory McIlroy obviously has been known for his length as well. He is not a short hitter by any means, but I would say Cameron probably is pretty close to flying it past where Rory's golf balls are ending up sometimes. Obviously not all the times, but I would definitely say Cameron's obviously much longer and he has way more club head speed than Rory does. Now, why is this the case? Well, I would say it's the way that Rory moves into the golf ball and the way that Cameron moves into the golf ball. So we already know how the way Cameron moves into the golf ball because we kind of highlighted that earlier. But I want to do a few things, okay? So just like we did with Cameron, I'm going to draw a line right here on the trail side hip. And we're going to watch to see how he moves his pelvis in the backswing. So as we get up to the top of the swing, Rory has a little bit of a different pivot, right? Notice how he's pretty much on this wall, right? So he hasn't created a golf ball like Cameron has. So let's do the same thing with Cameron's again, just so you guys can see the difference. So as we get Cameron up to the top of this swing, Cameron has a golf ball here. Rory does not, okay? And that's going to be super important. Now, the next line we're going to draw is going to be on the lead hip, and we're going to watch to see how both these players come down. So I'm going to draw one, actually right about here is perfect, and then I'm going to do the same thing on Rory right about there. And we're going to see how they transition. So as Rory starts transitioning into the golf ball, he has much more of a linear push. Look how far forward he's pushed by lead arm parallel on the downswing, right? This is lead arm parallel, or P5. He's pretty much gone all the way into the middle, right by almost kind of by the groin, is pushed all the way through that line already. Now if we look at Cameron, he's going to have a little bit of a push, right? But then as he gets to the lead arm, he's almost clearing more, so he's not as far forward as Rory. Cool. Now from this position, let's see a little bit of a difference too. Obviously, camera angles are slightly different. The camera angle on Cameron Champ's view is a little bit lower to the ground than Rory's, so obviously this looks like he's got more external rotation of that troll elbow, and it might look like he has a little bit more lag, which he might. But I just wanted you guys to kind of be aware of that, just so if you see this difference from that difference, that's the reason why it's camera angle. It's not really necessarily swing. Cool. Now from here, let's see what Rory does to position 6. So once he gets to position 6, Rory has pushed even further in front of this line, right? He's even got basically the middle of his belt buckles already in front of that line. Also look as well, he looks like his body lines are much more closed than Cameron's going to be here at the same position 6. So we're going to get Cameron about the same position, which is right about here. And we see obviously a massive difference in the way that these two players have moved into the golf ball, right? If we look at Cameron, look how his lead hip is now working backwards, right? So the sacrum hasn't continually moved forward. It's actually starting to move backwards at this point. Now, what we're also going to see is a big difference in the way that the lead foot works, right? Notice how Cameron's lead heel is already off the ground, Rory's is still firmly planted on the ground, right? So I would argue that Cameron's using more vertical and horizontal, well, probably not more horizontal ground forces at this point than Rory has. Rory has pushed pretty far linear. But Cameron's obviously has a lot more ground pressure in terms of vertical ground pressure that he's using. Cool, now let's take them both into impact. We're gonna stop right before, and this is pretty much right before for Cameron as well too. Cool, so as we can see, both these lines are completely different, right? Cameron obviously is still rotating and not pushed linear yet. Rory is still way out in front of the golf ball. He's also lost a lot of his lean at this point, right? Look at Rory's wrist. Notice how it's a little bit more flatter, if anything, in an extension. You see that a lot with players who push a lot linear. They have to extend a lot and they have to lose the flexion in this lead wrist because they push so far forward. Cameron's almost driving and holding the crap out of this release pattern right now, which I love. Just a great way to get power. Then let's just look a click after impact. We're going to erase these lines, and we'll do a click for Cameron right after impact, which is about right here. And we're going to see a huge difference, okay? So the first thing I want to point out is going to be basically the pelvis line. So if we look at the lead pelvis, Rory's is almost on the outside of the foot. If we look at Cameron's is on the instep of the foot, right? Which means that Cameron has got an around as he's extended, so he's rotated a lot more than Rory has. So Rory's a little bit stalled out here. Now also, if we can see, Rory already has the right hand over the left, right? So he's already gotten that kind of flip roll release pattern, whereas Cameron's still driving and holding even to this point in the golf swing, which is incredible, right? So I would say that Cameron has a lot more of a steady rate of closure and a lot more control over the club face than Rory McIlroy has at this point. And I think this is going to be interesting to see how these two players kind of play with each other throughout their careers. I'm kind of interested to see who's going to go down as the better player, even though obviously Rory's got a huge head jump at this point, but it's going to be very interesting to see if Cameron can maybe start playing up to his potential and even starting to exceed his potential, right? Cool, so we're just going to go a few more clicks. So right around this position 8 or just above it, Rory's obviously there. Now we're starting to see these players look very similar, except for obviously if we hadn't drawn the lines like we did earlier, we would not really be able to tell the difference, right? But we can still kind of see how Rory's still a little bit more close to the target line, as Cameron's obviously a lot more open. And then as we get up to the P9, beautiful finish by Rory, obviously, and then Cameron gets into a great finish as well from here. So what are some take-home points for a lot of you guys out there? Well, first thing, for a lot of you juniors who are trying to create a lot of club head speed, I would say that Cameron Champ's model of swing is a lot better for you guys. So in terms of pivot, I would much rather see you guys creating around a golf ball to even maybe a tiny bit more, at least a golf ball at this point at the top of the pivot or top of the backswing. Then on the downswing, I would much rather see you guys have Cameron Champ's move to where you have a little bit of a linear push, a little bit of a pressure shift forward, and then you start moving the sacrum backwards and extending with this driver and starting to get a little bit more of this look through the ball. And that's basically going to allow you to get your impact conditions a lot better. You're going to get ball speed up. And eventually, once you start working out at the gym, you guys get your body moving faster through some plyometrical training and all that good stuff, you guys are going to be hitting the ball just as far as Cameron Champ, right? We're going to start seeing a huge influx of players, probably more and more with the model of Cameron swing coming out on tour, and we're just going to start seeing courses probably have to get longer and longer to try to keep up with these kids, because obviously speed is the name of the game right now, right? So anyways, guys, I thought this was a pretty interesting analysis and pretty interesting to see the differences between these two players. Obviously, there's still a large portion of instructors and players who think that Rory's model is the better model as of now, but maybe we'll be proven, or they'll be proven wrong with Cameron Champ coming up on the scene and seeing maybe more and more players swinging like Cameron. Cool, guys, so that's the end of this analysis. I'm probably going to do some more swing analysis of Cameron Champ because I love his iron swing and I love some other things that he's doing. But anyways, if you guys haven't already, feel free to smash that like button, leave me a comment, let me know if you guys like these types of videos, and as always, hit that little red subscribe button. Alright guys, best of luck and play some good golf out there.